cats can be soft against your chest one moment and impossibly distant the next. That contradiction is why humans keep trying to understand them. They feel domestic, but never fully owned. Your cat may live inside our homes, but it keeps a private distance from us. It accepts the bowl, the blanket, and the window, yet something in its eyes still belongs to another world. Our fascination with cats did not begin online. Long before the modern home, humans were painting, carving, fearing, and honoring feline shapes in the dark places of memory. Prehistoric art, feline figures already carried power. A painted lion on stone was more than an animal. It was a sign of mystery, danger, and beauty in the same body. Thousands of years ago, stone leopards circled sacred places. They were not pets, but guardians of thresholds, standing between ordinary life and something humans could not name. At Setalhuk, feline bodies appeared beside images of birth and protection. The cat was not only a predator, it stood near beginnings, mothers, and the strange force of life arriving. Across old cultures, cats often appeared beside motherhood and power. They could be nurturing and dangerous at once, as if life itself needed claws to protect what it loved. Durga riding a lion shows the paradox humans kept seeing in cats. Grace and danger, tenderness and force, beauty and battle, all move in one sacred shape. Some divine cats guarded the wounded and the lost. Their power was not gentle, but it was protective, the kind of strength that stands between harm and the fragile body. In Norse imagination, even love could travel with cats. Freya's giant feline companions carried affection and beauty, but also the possibility of battle beneath grace. Chinese guardian lions smile and snarl at the same time. They remind us that protection is not always soft. Sometimes the creature at the door must look dangerous. The old myths understood what every cat owner eventually learns. A cat can be warmth and weapon, comfort and warning, a small body where opposite truths live together. In ancient Egypt, cats came near humans because grain invited rodents. Practical need opened the door, but once cats entered human life, they did not remain merely useful. Egyptians welcomed cats into homes and temples. What began as pest control became reverence, as if usefulness had revealed something sacred beneath the fur. In Egypt, harming a cat could be treated as a grave offense. That tells us how deeply the animal had entered the moral imagination of a civilization. Thousands of mummified cats, statues, and amulets have been found. Humans were not only living with cats, they were trying to carry them into eternity. Cats were sometimes shown on the laps of the dead. Even near the afterlife, the feline remained close as companion, guardian, and witness. Egyptian cats were not only gentle companions, some appeared as forces that could confront darkness itself, turning the house animal into a cosmic defender. Sekhmet carried the blazing side of feline power. She could destroy enemies and spread plague, yet she was also linked to healing. Danger and medicine shared one face. Bastet offered another feline face: music, childbirth, dance, safety, and warmth. She made the cat feel less like a threat and more like a guardian of ordinary joy. Every house cat seems to understand the holiness of sunlight. A patch of warmth on the floor becomes a small temple where the body remembers peace. Some feline myths belong not to the sun but to the moon. Artemis connects the cat to hunting, animals, childbirth, and the silver silence where predators move unseen. The cat's mystery survives because it cannot be reduced to one role. It hunts and comforts, watches and hides, belongs and refuses, protects and unsettles. For some cultures, cats inspired awe, for others suspicion. The same stare could mean wisdom, threat, or simply a mind that would never translate into ours. In some Persian Zoroastrian stories, cats were linked to treachery. Myth often reveals not what animals are, but what humans fear they might be. Japanese folklore imagined cats that could become uncanny. These stories turned familiar household animals into reminders that the unknown sometimes lives closest to us. In one tale, a cat disappears just as a family changes. The fear is not only of the animal, but of the home becoming unfamiliar from the inside. The Bakenoko myth asks a quiet question. What happens when the creature we feed, shelter, and trust becomes something we cannot read anymore? Folklore imagined ordinary cats becoming dangerous when their tails grew too long. Beneath the superstition is a fear of familiarity turning strange with time. The Nekomata makes independence visible as power. A cat becomes doubled, enlarged by myth, and impossible to control. Malevolent cat myths often speak about thresholds, We fear what happens when mystery crosses the doorway and begins sleeping beside us. Greek myth gave the feline body impossible armor. The Nemean lion was raw power, a creature that could only be defeated by a hero's hands. After defeating the lion, Hercules wore its skin. The feline became a symbol of power transferred, as if wearing the animal meant carrying its terror. Greek myth tells of Galintheus transformed into a cat and sent toward the underworld. In that story, the cat becomes tied to birth, magic, exile, and punishment. Used companion to Hecate, the cat entered the realm of crossroads and magic. It became a creature of edges, standing where one world becomes another. With Christianity, the woman with a cat became a figure of suspicion. The animal's independence was recast as danger, and its closeness to lonely people became evidence. Black cats became linked to omens and hidden enemies. A simple animal crossing a road could carry centuries of fear in the human imagination. At times of paranoia, being alone with a cat could become dangerous for a woman. The fear was never only about the animal, it was about independence and privacy. Across cultures, cats gave form to fears we could not easily name. They were quiet, nocturnal, watchful, and unwilling to perform obedience for our comfort. Not every myth feared cats. The Japanese maneki neko turned a feline gesture into an invitation of luck, shelter, and unexpected rescue. A cat was said to invite a lord into shelter at Gotokuji, saving him from danger. Here, the unknown does not threaten the traveler, it calls him home. The beckoning cat still appears in homes and businesses as a small figure of welcome. It turns feline mystery into hope. Come closer, something good may begin. Mythical cats are rarely pure heroes or villains. They are tricksters, guardians, thieves, companions, and omens, changing meaning depending on who is looking. Cats often belong to thresholds, doorways, windows, fences, shelves, and the thin line between living and dead. They are comfortable where categories fail. Some Buddhist traditions imagined souls transferred to cats for safekeeping. In that belief, the cat becomes not a monster, but a vessel trusted with something precious. In Finnish folklore, cats could carry souls toward the underworld. The idea is haunting but also strangely tender, a small animal guiding what humans cannot hold. The Celtic case Sith could steal a soul from mourners. The black cat becomes the shape of grief's fear. That loss might be interrupted or stolen. Some Japanese stories imagined supernatural cats near the dead. These myths show how often humans placed cats near the final mystery, where love and fear meet. Today, cats occupy smaller thresholds, sock drawers, cabinets, shelves, and spaces under furniture. The mythic animal has simply moved into our closets. A cat squeezing through a half-open door feels ordinary until you think about it. It is always moving between worlds, inside and outside, known and unknown. Cats love spaces that never quite make sense to humans. Between shelf and floor, under table and bed, they find small kingdoms we did not know existed. Even the most ordinary cat can look at us in a way that feels ancient. We ask why they stare because part of us suspects the gaze contains more than hunger. Your cat's fully domesticated, or have they only agreed to live near us? The question follows humans from temples to kitchens, from tombs to sofas. The feline stare unsettles us because it feels like judgment without language. A cat watches, and suddenly we become aware of ourselves being watched. A cat's cry, purr, trill, or midnight call can feel more like a message than a noise. We may not understand the language, but we keep answering anyway. Every bowl we fill is part care and part negotiation. We feed the mystery and invite it closer, even knowing it will never fully explain itself. Cats endure in culture because they give shape to contradictions humans recognize in themselves: comfort and freedom, closeness and distance, tenderness and defense. The strangest thing about a cat is how wild it can feel while asleep on a cushion. A history of gods, demons, guardians, and omens curls quietly in the living room. Cats remind us that love does not always arrive obediently. Sometimes companionship has claws, boundaries, moods, and a private life we cannot enter. Humans keep welcoming cats because the unknown is not only frightening. Sometimes it purrs, sleeps in sunlight, and makes the house feel watched over. A cat at the window can look like a tiny household guardian. It watches the street, the weather, and the border between outside world and inside life. Every cat carries a little mythology into the home. Not because it knows the old stories, but because humans cannot stop projecting mystery onto its silence. When a cat sleeps in a sunbeam, it feels ordinary and strangely sacred. Perhaps that is the secret. Cats make the divine look domestic. The same animal once feared as demonic now curls beside laptops and coffee cups. But the old unease has not vanished. It lives in memes and midnight glances. Cats are funny because they refuse dignity at the exact moment we make them sacred. They knock things over, stare into nothing, and somehow remain mythological. What cats reveal about us may be more important than what we reveal about them. Our myths expose fear of independence, longing for protection, and need for mystery. Centuries later, we are no closer to solving the cat. We can study behavior and trace myth, but something remains just beyond reach. The human imagination cannot tame cats because cats refuse to become one thing. They remain companion and omen, softness and shadow, home and wilderness. When the house becomes silent, the old stories return in smaller forms: a paw step in the hallway, a stare from the chair, a shape near the window. The myth is still here. Maybe cats endure because they live where humans are most uncertain. Between love and fear, home and wildness, ordinary comfort and the unknown. In the end, the intrigue of cats comes from their refusal to be fully explained. They let us close, but not all the way. They live beside us, yet keep the final room locked. The next time your cat stares at you, remember how long humans have been asking what that gaze means. Maybe it is hunger, maybe affection, or maybe the oldest mystery in your house looking back.